Hi everyone, Mayor Drew Dilkens here for another edition of Mayor's Minute. This one may take 2 minutes because I want to take you into the new John Muir Library, which is nearing completion. It will be open in June of 2019, and I want you to come in and see what's going on before it's all finished up. Come on in, let's go take a look. That's a big piece of this, is that you have three separate buildings. You have the old fire hall, which was designated as a heritage building. You have the stable, which was behind it, designated as a heritage building. Two separate heritage buildings on one property. We wanted to keep the flavor of both buildings, but then find a way to connect the buildings so that they could be one functional space.
Exactly, correctly. And the other really beneficial thing is that the user of the building can experience all of that simply by moving through it. It's a building that you have to slowly unravel as you go through it, and I think that makes it much more meaningful. Essentially, we did exactly what the original masons did. By finding the stone on site, we actually tested and did sieve analysis of that stone to make sure it was the same sort of gradation of stone that was used, and we did the exact same thing, found the same source where the stone came from and mixed it the exact same way, and then tried to learn a technique by which we could expose that aggregate. The other fun thing with this project was the replication of the historic windows. There are companies doing it, but we wanted to continue to maintain that as Windsorites, we can preserve our heritage buildings on our own. These windows were fabricated by a local person. We can do this. This is an exact replica of the window that was here, the same sort of shaping of the windows. Special cutters were made, and the techniques that were used here are identical to what was done originally when these windows were built. Even the same finishes, the same putty.
All done locally, which is quite incredible that all those skills still exist here in our community. Mm-hmm. So we're on the second floor. What were some of the challenges that you experienced in putting together this entire project? If
you do have a building which already exists and you have space which is already dictated, but then you need to bring it up to today's standards, it becomes a challenge. The elevator shaft that's right behind us, the large floor opening that's sort of in front of me, creating all the spaces that we need and allowing them to interact in a way which is fluid was the biggest challenge in terms of space planning. That was the other real fun challenge with the tower, was the shape of it was critical because you couldn't have a shape which was going to withstrain too much wind load, and at the same time you're dealing with two different materials, two different stiffnesses built in two different times, and they have to work together. So that in itself is a sort of the same problem vertically that we experience from a design standpoint horizontally with the three buildings.
So if one was looking to go up in the tower, how many folks could you have up there and what kind of view would they see?
They would see a good chunk of Sandwich from there, and we did, from the design stage, we did fly a drone up to that height and shoot what we would see and present that to everyone as a sort of a basis for do we want to do the tower. But it's very small, so you'd probably look at 3 people max. And you would probably, the best way to do it would be to be escorted by somebody who would probably use it as a kind of a learning tool. Maybe there's a way of learning about Sandwich Town in the multipurpose room here that we are, and then in small groups going up and pointing out the sort of the history of the town.
We're on the second floor. We're standing on a catwalk that links the old stable to the old fire hall. Can you tell me what the idea was behind this and what the purpose of this will be?
Sure. This was one of those things that as an architect you utilize a constraint and make it something that is of benefit. So the main purpose of this catwalk was for exiting. So the only way was to somehow float from one building to the other, and this became a means to do that. But at the same time, it's also a way of going from one time period, 1921, through the contemporary time into an old stable. And at the very end of this catwalk is the historic collections area. So it becomes this kind of a bridge that gets you from one era to another.
Now you can see the roof here was completely removed all in one piece and put back on this rebuilt stable structure. It took quite a bit of effort by the contractor, but he did an excellent job because it's the original roof structure.
Okay, I'm here with Adam Craig. He is the manager of public service at the Windsor Public Library. And as you can see behind me, the space is coming along. We're excited about the thought that this will be done and open to the public sometime in June of this year. What are you most excited about as a library employee, knowing that you hear from the public all the time?
I think that one of the things that we can be really excited about is that this is a space that is not only looking forward as far as libraries go, like we're embracing the future of libraries, but it also is a nod to Windsor's history. And I think in this community in particular, that is something that is very important. So I'm really excited for opening day when folks from the neighborhood come in and they see this beautiful space that acknowledges and respects, you know, what this space was originally meant for and the neighborhood at large.
Folks know, I think, intuitively, if you've lived in the city of Windsor for any length of time, that this is really where we all started. You know, and I know this space with the historic collection upstairs will help tell part of that story too.
Yeah, we're going to have not only sort of artifacts from the area and from the building, but we're hoping to have part of our local history collection here as well. Maybe photographs, old newspaper articles of what the building used to be, what the area used to look like. So we're not sure exactly what the end aesthetics are going to look like, but I think it's going to be something really special.
Well, that's great. Well, we're all excited to come in here and open the doors for the public. This is the end of this edition of Mayor's Minute. Stay tuned, because guess what, folks? In June, the doors will open and you will get to see your newest library in the Windsor Public Library system, named after John Muir himself, a man who was very passionate about Sandwich Town and the west side of our city. Thanks for watching.